You're listening to Boot Camp the Offense with Stephen Willis and Corey Burton. Welcome to Boot Camp the Offense with Stephen Willis and Corey Burton, the offensive coordinator at Hillwood High School. Today we are here to talk about the wide receiver, and more specifically the roles that the outside wide receivers and the inside wide receivers play in this offense and what they're supposed to do. We'll go over a little bit of the depth chart, but there's not a more up in the air position than this one on the Ole Miss offense. So before we get started, you can follow us on Twitter at Ole Positively, at the Stephen Willis, at Coach Burton 36. You can subscribe on YouTube and hit the bell to get notifications whenever we do a new video, which is going to become more and more frequent.
That's the bell, actually. Did you hear it?
I heard that. Follow us on SoundCloud. We're available on all the podcatchers, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. You can get all your fill there. Now, just real quick for the new subscribers that we have coming in, I've noticed that it's growing and growing. This is what the purpose is of this website: to cover Ole Miss without you having to pay for it. That's it. That's the point.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then random little things that we can cover that could entertain you in the world of football.
Yeah, we're designed to pass the time. We started a little bit early because of the quarantine, but reality is that we would have gone to start this in June or July anyway.
Yeah.
But
Tell them about around the SEC.
Yeah, we're going to come back this fall with Around the SEC. We're going to look at the conference as a whole. We're going to try and get guests. We're going to basically do predictions. We're going to do anything we can do that way. We're going to cover it the best we can without actually having the overhead to be there and do all the stuff that people that aren't fans do anyway. So we are fans. We're going to cover it from that perspective. If that's a problem to you, we're probably not the podcast for you. So how you doing, Corey?
I'm doing great. That's about the best way you could describe Around the SEC. It's a fan's perspective into the Southeastern Conference and the non-expert view of our conference from the coach's perspective and from Steve, your perspective, which has been somebody that's been in sports media and actually been in the Ole Miss program under Ed Orgeron, so you can give us great insight on Coach O, and we'll go from there. But, Steve, we got a lot of good episodes coming up on the channel, a lot of preview stuff, so tell them about that, and let's get rolling.
All right. Let's go ahead and jump on in. The depth chart looks like it's going to be on the outside at one receiver, another. You have Braylon Sanders and Dontario Drummond. On the other side, you have Jonathan Mingo and probably Miles Battle, though, that all can change. This is in flux. This could be anybody's game. The only thing that's for sure is at slot, you probably are going to see Elijah Moore because he's the best player at the receiving position. Backing him up, I suspect you'll see Dennis Jackson. That's kind of the long and short of it. At tight end, Kenny Yeboah, who and possibly if John Rain transfers in, which I think he could. I haven't seen one way or another that he hasn't. If he has gone somewhere else, let me know in the comments below. I'm trying to make this as plain as possible. Nobody knows about this position.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very inconsistent group, Steve. And you don't know outside of Elijah Moore, who made a fire hydrant out of the goalpost in the Egg Bowl. You don't really know what you're going to get out of this group. I mean, you had a group that was largely beat up, largely underproduced, underwhelmed, and it's going to be a challenge. Like you had Braylon Sanders, who got off to a really good start, and then he kind of just fizzled down the stretch. We don't know what we're going to get out of Miles Battle, DeMarcus Gregory. We don't know what we're going to get out of Jonathan Mingo. You just don't know. And you don't know how this offense is going to be affected by not knowing. But I imagine that since the philosophy that Lane Kiffin brings in that we keep harping on is ball control, control the line of scrimmage, that he's going to use a lot of his wide receivers. And you have to think, Steve, Jerry and Ely is going to be heavily involved in the pass game, whether out of empty sets or screens, to kind of offset the inconsistencies that this wide receiver room brings.
Yeah, and I suspect you'll see a bunch of those arrow screens to Kenny Yeboah. It's real simple throws and stuff that is easily executable, but it's very important to do it. And it doesn't really involve the outside receivers who are – now, what I'm about to say sounds like I'm being derogatory, but I'm not. But you basically have big, strong guys that are blockers and possession receivers on the outside. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong at all. I mean, you don't really – in that wide receiver group – Elijah Moore, maybe, but you don't really have a guy that you can say, like when you had A.J. Brown or when you had Dante Moncrief, when you had those type of receivers coming through the brief time that y'all had Van Jefferson before he transferred to Florida. I mean, you just have big play guys that can, if you're in a pinch, you just get the ball to them and they make something happen. You don't have that. DK Metcalf, that guy. You don't have those type guys right now. And you're kind of in like that no man's land of recruiting. So you've got big possession guys that, they could be very valuable with this scheme. Hopefully that this offensive staff realizes, hey, right now we've got big play, or we got big possession receivers. We got good blockers, so we can run the ball on the perimeter. We've got good possession guys. We can just run those window routes and just have them catch the ball and fall down and just get us yards and control the clock. And hopefully they design stuff around that, because coming in these recruiting classes, now you're going to have your home run guys. Some guys that we're going to talk about in these upcoming episodes of Recruit Watch are very exciting. So if you can just hold on this year and do the best you can with what you got in the room, use your running backs, use your tight end, and then use those big possession guys that occasionally move the sticks, you're going to be okay. And then your home run threats come in.
Yes, and the slot receiver is the home run threat in this offense. He's the speed guy. He's the touchdown maker. He does whatever you need to do in the pass game to get it. They design plays around him. And in this offense, that's going to be Elijah Moore and Dennis Jackson this year. Next year is probably going to be somebody else. So get ready for that. I can see
I could see, to preview an upcoming episode, some guy, Braylon Brown, he watching him on tape, he really, really impressed me as far as what he brings to the table. We'll get more into that in the episode, so you'll have to watch to get my overall analysis. But you should be very excited about Braylon Brown, truthfully.
Yes, that's coming up. I think we're going to call it either Recruit Watch or Commitment Watch.
How's that for a tease?
Yes, and in those videos, we're going to go over actual commitments and break them down with my resident high school coach. He's going to tell us all we need to know about these players. It's a pretty good thing. And also, you don't have to deal with the ups and downs of recruiting, like the rivals.com, the 247, where you're going off rumors. Is this person interested? No, these people are committed. These people are solid. We're not going to guesstimate. We might try and get an interview from another wide receiver or prospect, but we're never going to guesstimate, and we're not going to reach out to be spoon-fed information.
Right. We were in that world once, Steve.
Yes, that was.
As you can tell from the lanyards in your background, we were in that world once.
Yes, and it was fun. I mean, we could do a whole podcast off stories from our time at Rivals.
Oh man, just all kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but, yeah, that would be another one. That would be a good fun. Like, here's a just sit back and enjoy for the next 5 minutes or 10 minutes while we discuss different stories and just chat back and forth. But that's not this episode. See what these wide receivers are doing. They're making us get off topic because they're not.
They're so inconsistent. Yeah, it's really hard to do this.
Yeah.
And we have the grad transfer at tight end. I'm going to count them with the wide receiver group because he doesn't line up on the line of scrimmage very often.
Not very often. No.
Yeah.
Maybe in the SEC he might more so than the tight end did at FAU. So.
Yeah, I see Kenny Ubola having a big year. I don't see him being a traditional tight end. He's more of an Evan Ingram, believe it or not, than a standard tight end. Look how he used O.J. Howard at Alabama, and you'll see how he's going to use Kenny Ubola.
Yeah, and you should be very excited about that because O.J. Howard, it kind of seemed like feast or famine with him, which is kind of the way the tight end position goes anyway. So you just hope that there's more feast than famine, truthfully. But it's going to be like he'll have 2 giant games in a row, and then he'll draw coverage, and then some other people will line it up, and he'll have like 2 catches, and you'll think he disappeared, and then 3 games later he explodes for another 100-yard game. So that's just kind of how the tight end position works in Lane Kiffin's offense, and kind of that's how it works overall with that position. I mean, it's just a tough position to play because you're in the interior of the defense. You're always in traffic. You don't know if the ball is going to come to you all the time. The only times you can guarantee that it's going to come to you is that arrow screen RPO, which you're going to get there, but you're not going to get a ton of yards most of the time. You're probably going to get 5-6 yards, which is great in an RPO offense. But if you're one of those, you judge every bit of emotion off stats, so you're probably going to go crazy.
Yeah. So that was Boot Camp the Offense. The wide receiver room, like I said, is very inconsistent. With Corey Burton, the offensive coordinator at Hillwood High School. Follow him at Corey Burton. Coach Burton, 36.
Coach Burton, 36. Yeah, you go.
And at the Stephen Willis. Follow at Old Positively. Hit us on all the podcatchers and YouTube, and we will talk to you later.